دكتور محمود وهبه، حضرتك وجه مصري مشرق.
يملك الدكتور وهبه شركات عديدة على رأسها شركة ألفا ستار.
هذا المركز بني بواسطة وزارة الدفاع الأمريكية في عهد الرئيس رونالد ريغان كجزء من ما يسمى بحرب الفضاء.
الدكتور محمود وهبه من نيويورك. مشورتي لمصر بعنوان نحو اقتصاد مصري تكنولوجي عصري.
Thank everybody who's young here for giving me the honor of being young. My name is Mahmoud Wahba. Mahmoud Ahmed Muhammad Wahba. Because the name Wahba, by the way, is an ancient Egyptian name. If you've ever been to the Louvre, you're going to find a Prince Wahba in the side of the corner of the Louvre in the second floor, and it is Wahba. The name Wahba was taken then from the ancient pharaoh to the Jewish people, to the Coptic people, to the Muslim people. With the name Mahmoud Ahmed Muhammad Wahba, you couldn't miss it. However, Mahmoud Ahmed Muhammad Wahba was born in the last dynasty, in the location of the last dynasty of the ancient pharaoh. The little village that we came from was the absolute last dynasty of the ancient pharaohs. The Persian came and took over. And if you go today to our little village, you are going to find some ancient Egyptian stuff that's still left over there. It is actually an area for somebody, one of you who loves causes, and I think a lot of you love causes, may want to consider this as a cause. Now, I didn't know if I should go short or long, but if I go too boring, you could tell me stuff.
Please.
Keep in mind, I used to be a teacher. Teachers talk a lot. But then I became a businessman. Businessmen talk a little. So I could go both ways. This little village that we were born in, think of a state of Florida and another state. We were in between two states, and neither one of them would claim us. We were just sitting next to a drain ditch, if you wish, and that was the difference between the two places. There was no way that you could visit this little village unless you walk 5 miles. There were no buses, there were no cars, there were no trains, nothing. It's nothing more than about 400 acres. 5,000 people at the time we lifted. 50,000 today, or maybe 100,000. There is nothing in that place that you could sustain yourself on economically. However, since I am got into these areas, it's also sitting in a salt mine. We are literally about 10 to 12 miles from the Mediterranean Sea. By any definition, we are Mediterraneans. We're not Egyptians. Ancient Pharaoh is one thing, but the fact of the matter is the weather and the life there is the Mediterranean. 10 miles away from a Mediterranean Sea makes you Mediterranean. Actually, Cyprus was closer to us than Cairo. So here you are, born in the middle of nowhere. You can't go anywhere. You have no basis to sustain your life, and trying to make a living. Without joking, our family, with a few wish to use this word, middle class in the village. But middle class in the village makes you rich. You have not lived that village and you are rich until you get out of the village. Then you find out that you weren't rich. But you live under the illusion that you're rich for a long time. For whatever reason, my father, who was not educated, neither was my mother, figured that there is another way to live life better than being a farmer. Farming, we had some land, so we're not doing the farming by our own hands. My grandfather first, to be exact, thought of getting us out of the little village to the urban areas. Again, if this gets boring, tell me to stop. So they decided to send us to school. I was sent to school at 4 years old, that I had to walk 5 miles in, 5 miles back. It was too early. I ran away from class. My father took me back and said, "You're still a little baby. 1 more year, you'll go back to school, 5 years, rather than going to the same old place." They sent us to another city called Mahalla al-Kubra, and we have people who know Mahalla al-Kubra here very well. They lived in it.
Yes.
I lived 1 year in there. And then they sent us to another larger village. That's when I discovered that we were not rich. Here you're living all your life thinking you're rich, and suddenly you're not rich. There are people who are richer than you are. Took a little bit of, took a little bit to get used to, but then education became the thing that we were in, because my grandfather thought the way out is education. And that's true until today, by the way. This village does not live on the land anymore. Everybody in that village is out working in the Gulf area and making money, sending money back to their family. So education became the thing. So who would be the first kid to go to school? My older brother. Thank God he graduated #1 on the state, Kafr Sheikh. We didn't know what it meant then, but my father figured out, if he's done that, then he'll be able to go through. Who will go to school after him? Everybody that came after him. Myself, my sister, my younger doctor brother,
that guy right there?
Except he used to skip school.
That's why he became a doctor.
I don't want to go into jokes. At any rate, so we all went to school. Once we started going to school, everybody behind us in the village went to school. Then we went to Cairo. I was pretty active all of my life, mentally active all of my life. So was my brother. We had a very gentle father. Never in my life did I know that he was violent. I was never ever spanked. The one who spanked me was my older brother. but none of us were spanked. My mother ever was touched. She was treated like a queen. My mother had a kind of a gentle, quiet intelligence. And it helped my father do what he wants to do. My father was a very charming man. I can be a very charming man if I want to, but I'm not going to try that now because I'm already married 50 years, so it's too late. He was an extremely charming man, very old, I don't know where he got it from, old traditional kind of a character, dressed very well. Shoes had to be polished daily. His clothes was always being ironed well, and he had the gift of gab. He had the ability to speak and communicate, but he was into school. School became the thing that he really wanted. I have to say that my two sisters suffered a bit. Why? Because they suddenly became helper to us. Rather than continuing school, they became helper to us. However, they're the smartest of us. And I'm talking to one here who I know, she is the linchpin of this family. If we're sitting here, without her, we probably would not be here. But she is the linchpin. She has a brain that works like a machine.
Amazing.
Yeah, and unbelievable. Being active, I started to become political. So, because I noticed a lot of you have causes here. I became a Marxist. I've learned English to become a Marxist. I liked Marxism so much that I studied English to read what Marxism is. I was a very young. I was in middle school. I was 14 or 13. So any of you has a dream while you're 10, 12, 13, 14, time to act on it. If it doesn't work out, change it, but always have a cause. Because that becomes you. In reality, by the end, it becomes you. I remember there was a political candidate who was a Marxist that ran for my neighborhood, and I went to his event. So the police came and collected all of us, including me. I ended up in jail.
What age?
Less than 14. And ended up in jail, and then the cop looked at me and said, "Hey, how old are you, kid?" I said, I'm 14. He said, "Go back to your mom. Don't come here again, otherwise I'm gonna spank the hell out of you. Get out of it." I didn't buy that much. I stayed Marxist while I was going to school. I was going to college at the same time. And I became pretty active in the party. There was a party at that time. Remember, I'm a businessman now, so don't get.
He's a capitalist now.
Don't get carried away with Marx. It doesn't mean that I abandoned, because there is some truth to the fact that the world needs some justice. Certainly, COVID showed us that. The way resources are allocated, they're not allocated to benefit the population, they're allocated to benefit certain people. So we ended up having China our world factory. It made masks, it made tests, and the US used to send 1,500 planes every day in the beginning to buy these things from anywhere in the world. first before anybody goes and buy it. But the bottom line is, rather than making the things that the population need, you went for the so-called, and I know that we have 2 or 3 young ladies who are an economist here. We went for the high value commodities and left the low value commodities, but humanity requires them all. So you're supposed to do them all. We didn't do it. So the bottom line is, that was my cause then. My second cause was to do what my father wanted. My father has seen 2 well-educated people in his life. One was the guy who was running the police station. They called Ma'mur. For those of you who may not know what the word is, I'm sure some of you do.
Yeah, police chief, basically.
And the second was a judge. So my father wanted me either to be a police chief or a judge. And I actually I graduated from high. Every year I graduated from school, I was ahead in my school. Until the last year, the movie Gone with the Wind came up, and I took the whole class with me and went to Gone with the Wind. There's always
skipped the class.
Took the whole kids with me. So there's always one kid who is going to rat on you. So there was Mustafa who rat on us, and I ended up basically fired from high school in the last 2 months. And in Egypt, system is crazy. Your grade, your life, everything is dependent on that last exam, one single exam. You could have headache, you could have migraine, you're dead. But that's the way system works. At any rate, I'm 2 months graduating and I can't graduate because my school fired me.
You got expelled.
I got expelled, yes. And I guess the movie wasn't that good, I think, at the time. It's better now. But at any rate, a very long movie, it took a long time, so I didn't go to school. At any rate, I ended up going to another school to be able to get out, to get my degree. So I actually graduated #1 on my original school. And then I wanted to do what my father wanted, was to become a policeman. I was a runner. By the way, I have a problem not walking right now, so in case you think the runner can always stay running. I actually got into a police school. 3 days, as soon as they wake me at 5 o'clock in the morning, I said, goodbye, I'm not gonna be here. I'll go back to my economics, which is what I liked. I always liked economics. And actually, part of it is Marxism. So I didn't do that, and I went to school, called Commerce, School of Commerce.
Wait, what about Uncle Mohammed? Didn't he help you with school?
He tried his best. He went to every school possible. He went and cried to the principal. The principal said, this guy is not only bad for himself, he's bad for everybody around him. Yeah, he is going to damage the whole world. Get rid of this kid. Don't have him in school ever. Get him out. Anyway, I didn't get out, unfortunately. I met that guy later on in the metro, and he said, I underestimated you. I said, you're right. You underestimated me. Anyway, my life actually was a very easy life. I can't, by any definition, say that I had a harder life than my nephews, or even my brother, for that matter. I went to school with a little here and there. I had a cause, I had an interest in some things, I did them. But as soon as I graduated out of college, I again was #1 in my class. So the government gave me a scholarship. And look at this irony, because I noticed a lot of you are interested in Ivy League stay interested in Ivy League.
What?
Stay interested in Ivy League. I was given a scholarship to come to the States to study, and then I got admitted to 3 schools: NYU, University of Minnesota, and a university called Yale. You are in Egypt, getting advice from somebody to tell you where to go. You have $105 a month. Says you're not gonna have enough money to live in New York City. NYU is out. Can't go to NYU. Yale, Yale is in New York. Expensive.
Close it up.
In fact, if you look at Yale from Egypt, you'll find that Yale is in New York, right?
On the map, yeah. Very close.
Actually, it's probably cheaper than any other place. So I ended up going to University of Minnesota. 4th of July, I go to the University of Minnesota, and the first thing I did, as soon as I took the first step, I fell back. I had no coats, no jacket, and I had no idea what it's like, Minnesota. You know, I mean, it's a country, it's the US. You know, they all the same. I fell down. At any rate, I stayed at the University of Minnesota. I actually could have gotten into Harvard if I wanted later on, because my GPA was about 4.0. I didn't go to Harvard because I liked what I studied. That's why I said to you, if you have a cause, if you are interested in something, do it, because you do very well at it once you like it. I was in a new field called organizational behavior. It's basically, for the economist to you, it's industrial economics. And I liked this enough. I contributed to it. I wrote. I became elected of the Academy of Management, and then I became a dean. I was a professor at City University of New York, and then I became a dean. Being a dean is the most boring job you could ever get, because all what you have to do is worry about what the faculty want to be in this office or that office, or they want to apply to the scholarship or that scholarship, because they live their life out of money, and or they're very interested in what time their classes will be. And I found myself sitting down deciding who should go to what class and where and whatever. Hell with this. I'm not going to do this for my rest of my life. An academic dean, city business school, gave up. Said, I'm going to become a businessman. It was helped a little bit because I became a consultant, fairly well-known consultant, particularly in oil. I consulted with OPEC, with Abu Dhabi and whatever. I consulted with some kings and some queens. I'm wearing a watch actually from a king who started the Muslim banking.
Push the police back. We're not like no one's prison.
I became Muslim, bro. But at any rate, I started the Muslim banking issue very early on. By the way, it's probably one of the largest fund today, Muslim funds. It's a joke because it's not supposed to have interest. They figure ways to make interest. They make more interest than companies that are not Muslim. So don't buy the story of being no profit in it. But I started the process. I was in, by the way, I'm 80 years old. So if you think that I've done a lot, it's just about right for my age.
What year did you start becoming a business person?
1983.
At what age did you quit academia?
I quit academia in 1983, but I did not leave it. I took a leave of absence.
Okay.
Just in case I fail, I have a place to go to.
Yeah.
Actually, I can go to the academia today if I could walk, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that big. At any rate.
How old are you?
How old were
I'm
you?
80 now.
No, that,
No.
And that I wasn't 40. I was 39.
39.
I
So
remember you were
I
the
got to
youngest
change
dean.
the career completely at 39.
So you were a dean in your 30s?
Yes.
I was a full professor before I was 25. So I mean, I moved. I
Fast.
moved. I'm a good writer. So I write research well. I do research well. So it helps. I'm also probably one of the fastest reader you've ever met. I read very fast, and I grasp the point. Doesn't bother me the little details. I don't worry about the little details, but I read very, very fast. And I also write as fast. I never edit. I just write. And any of you follow my Facebook, they know that it needs a lot of editing. I don't bother with editing. At any rate, I thought I knew everything about oil because I consulted with the oil. So I did it the classic way. I wanted to be a businessman. I wasn't trained to be a businessman. I was a professor of business. A professor of business usually knows how to teach but doesn't know how to do it. Everybody laughed at me, thinks that I'm crazy to leave the business school, to leave a good job, full professor, dean. What, are you crazy? Yeah, I was crazy. I did not like it, didn't want to do it, and I left it. So I go to look for type of business to go to. Any kind of business you could imagine, I tried. Starting, and I'm sorry to say this to the veterinarian here, started with that big aspirin for animals. I looked at the company that makes that.
horses.
Horses. And you've seen it, you remember it.
I remember holding it. It was,
Yeah. To textile and to shops, any kind of, I did it by the book, namely looked at a business, cash flow from it, and I said, that's what I wanted. I didn't know anything about it. By chance, close to my home, there was a big, if you've seen oil tanks, big tanks, I saw the word for sign on it.
For sale.
Yeah,
For sale.
sign for sale on it. So I said, let me try. I mean, what I know, I thought I know oil. And of course I didn't know oil until I found that later on. So it was owned by Exxon. I made a bid. I'm gonna give you a little lesson here so you would know if you want to bid. All what they wanted was about $750,000. I didn't have the $750,000. I was gonna borrow from my bank. I had a good relationship with the bank. I had a house, so I thought I could maneuver it somehow. So I said to myself, everybody wanted to buy that thing. It was almost a monopoly. What it is, you get boats of oil, you put it in a tank, truckers take the oil and then sell it to the households. Simple, not very complicated.
Heating oil.
Heating oil.
Heating oil.
Heating oil and aviation gas. I got into diesel and got a lot, and I didn't get into gasoline. But it was very close to New York, so very easy to buy a ship, bring it in, and sell it to the truckers. Except when I was sitting at the table to buy, my banker, who was a friend at the time, said to me, "Okay, doctor, what are you going to do for working capital?" I said, "What?" Remember, I was a dean of a business school. He says to me, "You need to fill up these tanks, don't you?" "Yeah." "Do you need a working capital?" "Oh, I never thought about this. What do I do?" He said, "Figure a way of doing it. I can't help you with it because it's going to be a lot of money." So the way I figured it was to go to Exxon and says, "I cannot finance the working capital. You got to help me." They said, "Okay, we'll do this for you. We will sell you the ship of oil, then collect from you in 48 hours. That's a lesson for you who's going to be in business. You collect your money first before you spend it. So when they gave me the oil for 48 hours, I got it, I sold it in 48 hours, I got the cash, I paid them, they kept doing it, and I financed the working capital. It wasn't something that I created. It looks like the industry knew what to do, and they helped with that.
That doesn't sound like a Marxist deal to me.
No, the perfect Marxist.
He pivoted somewhere.
I discovered later on that, well, I ended up literally buying about 7 or 8 of those, they call them oil farms, around the country. I was probably the only guy who was, I think I was the only crazy guy who would buy it, because a heating oil was being threatened by natural gas. But I didn't know that much. It didn't really matter in a way. So I bought about 6 or 7 of them everywhere, except each one had a problem. Talking about Marxist, I discovered that wholesale doesn't give you the, talking about the value chain, it's not your value, it's not the highest value chain. The retailers are the highest value chain. The guy who took the truck, sold it to the consumer, is the one who made most of the money. So I wanted to be that guy. And therefore, I shifted career again, and I only wanted to do I'm sorry, I'm talking about myself. I should have been talking about the family, but shifted to buying households, accounts, basically from people, from truckers. Truckers have a customer list, you buy a customer list. And luckily, Chevron was getting out of the business. They had 1/3, they had 11 state. They want to get out of 11 state. Now, I was so minute. The value of my business at that, the revenue of my business, forget about the value. The revenue of my business was $5 million. I had the guts to write to Chevron to say, I want to buy your business. I didn't finish the first story, which is that the $750,000, I figured somebody is going to like it enough and offer $750,000. So how much would he offer? $10,000 more? All right, make it $760,000. Okay, maybe he will offer $760,000, and then I'm like him. Offer $1 more. I offered one single dollar more. $761,000. That $1 made it. I figured what my competitor would do, and it was $1 did it.
You said
You added $1.
whatever they offer, $1 more. Is
$1 more would make it, and made it. Because
That
they
was like-
did
that's
offer,
what you said
they
they
offered
offered.
they offered the price, and then I figured they would offer a little more, and the little more was about, I assumed it would be $10,000, and then I offered $1 more over it, so this way give me
It was a
that.
closed bid. You
was
didn't
a
know what
closed
they're gonna
bid.
offer. You just assumed that you offer one extra dollar more than what
What
should be.
the other guy would do, yeah. I did the same thing with Chevron. Basically, I asked him how much. Now, I did what you call then a leverage buyout. For the economist in you may know what that is. Namely, that cash flow had to cover your loan. Leverage buyout is kind of a big word at the time. It's not as big now, although it is, and it is done more often than it seems to be. Basically, you take a loan, but you gotta make sure you can pay the loan, and you can pay the loan by leverage buyout, but from the cash flow.
How much?
I'm talking
was
like a
leverage-
teacher.
How much was leverage buyout?
It
How much?
depends.
How much did you raise?
At that time, it was $75 million, and I had sales of 5 million. Somehow, I did the same trick. I asked them how much they want, and I added little by little so I could beat my competitors. But I got Merrill Lynch with me. That was significant. Merrill Lynch agreed to the deal, and they became my partners. I ended up owning the third, basically the third largest heating, oil, aviation gas company in the country. And I saw the number grow. Then I got bored. It's a good thing to be bored, but you better get bored to something better. So I said I was so smart, I should buy companies like this in difficulties and fix it. I think you could count about 45 to 50 companies in my name in any area you could imagine that I bought. I bought it from bankruptcy, I bought them in bad shape, but bottom line, I worked with the balance sheet. Again, the economist of you would know what that is. You work with the balance sheet. Remember, I'm still a Marxist with a balance sheet. And the bottom line is that you buy it and fix it. And you have to work with laws of large numbers, which is just like insurance does. You know, you have 100,000, 90,000 of them die, but 10% of it work, you're fine, you come ahead. I succeeded in some of those, I failed in others. Then then I made a mistake, which I'm not going to get into right now, which is that I invested in a third world country that turned out to be miserable, a real failure, but it taught me something new. But I regret it because I lost my assets, but on the other hand, I don't regret it because I lost a lot of experience. Why am I saying all of this? I'm saying it because I see a lot of brains here. I never in my dream ever thought that I would see so many smart people in one little room, and they're all my family. Could not be better. And it is because of love, because we're all together, because we're smart enough to know when things are too small not to bother with them. Most people get bogged down with the small stuff. We don't get bogged down with small stuff. Let it go. Not worth it. Not going to change history. Forget it. You could be upset, be angry, let it go. But worry about the basics of life. And the basics of life is sitting around here. Brains, eyes, and beauty. And hugs, kisses.
Hearts. Big hearts.
As big hearts as you can be, but not foolish. Okay. So the bottom line of what I'm saying is that when my sister and I, my brother and I, or my older brother, and we have a sister who unfortunately is sick, is not with us tonight. She was the most, of all of us, she's probably the most charming young lady you've ever met. She is a socialite. I mean, if you put her in any location, any position, she would be the social butterfly. She knew Greenwich, she knew everybody, and unfortunately she's sick, so she's not with us, but she was very, very significant to us, all of us. She held us. She was the one who actually held parties like this when we, just five of us. And
Thanksgiving was always at her house. Christmas.
If she comes and sees us today, it would be a shocker. I hope we send her pictures. And it's a shame that she doesn't see. The other shame that upsets me is that neither my father or mother So there is, my father wanted me to see me a policeman. and here I am, not a policeman. And what a disappointment. You know? So, but he has not seen it. Egypt is a unique place in many ways, but Egypt is in trouble today. Egypt is going back, not ahead. And the reason I'm saying that is that because I am pretty involved in Egypt today. It got to the point where I worked very closely with the top, with the president, to be specific, presidents, to be specific. I was offered positions that I refused. Right now, I am in a fight, very serious fight with the current president over his policies of borrowing money above his head. I borrowed money, but I borrowed it for leverage buyout. I knew I could pay it. He borrows money that he can pay. Not only that, he borrows money on other people's money. He borrows money on retirement money. Retirement money is yours. He takes the retirement money and goes to a lender and says, lend me money on this retirement money. It's not his money, it's people's money. And we are in literally a very serious fight these days. If you find me in the water someday, then you know why. Because it's pretty dangerous for them. If he doesn't borrow, he doesn't last. The way he works, he borrows money to pay. It's a Ponzi scheme on a national level. By the way, most countries work with Ponzi schemes. Economists again know. You do have to borrow. Borrowing allows liquidity, but you borrow if you know how to pay. You don't borrow if you do not know how to pay. I haven't been here for about 4 years. I've seen a lot of you very young. I loved you all then. I love you more now. I'm going more prouder and taller and bigger and everything else than you could imagine, because I think you're going to make a difference. And you make a difference.
Can you see something about the families? There's massive families.
Follow what you want, follow the cause, and don't ever, for the girls and the boys, don't ever marry somebody who's going to take you down. And think Ivy Leagues. I didn't think Ivy Leagues. I could have gone to it later on.
If you did, I wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fork in the road.
I'm happy
Fork
with the
in the
Minnesota
road.
choice.
That's how he met his mom, baby Suzanne.
He goes to Minnesota and marries his mom.
My wife is the most beautiful woman.
Selfish reasons.
And a 50 years of marriage, a long time. Obviously, in a marriage of that long, you have to give in. You have to be. You give and take. But she doesn't take me down. I don't take her down. So that's my advice. You gotta make sure that they take you up. You gotta make sure that your ambition is high. You look at your cause. It doesn't matter, by the way. It doesn't matter what cause it is. If you believe in it, you don't have to be a genius or highly intellectual. You just have to believe in a cause that you can do well in it and do it well. This family has 3 components to it, don't appear very clearly. The one component I represent, my sister represent, my brother represent. This is the first generation, we'll call them. These are the Wahbas. But the Wahbas have the habit of getting married too.
There's actually 4 because there's one, the Baileys as well.
Yeah. So we have 3 additional
Make it 4.
great family. 4? You give me the 4.
Yeah.
For you?
Mona, yeah.
And Mona is special in her own. I remember Mona and Azza when they came from Egypt. First week, we went to the balcony in my house, and they both sat in the top of the balcony, and they said, "We are going to do the best, and we are going to be the best." And I said, "I think you will both." I mean, I knew them before. I knew that how capable they are, and they are now. No question about it. So this marriage habit created 4 additional families. One called Diasti. He is a Diasti. I don't know him. She is a Diasti. He is a Diasti. There are a lot of Diastis here. Diasti is a good name. It happened to be Italian. And I don't mess up with it. It's not Egyptian. It's Italian. So Diasti is Italian. Then we have a Biali. Biali is really, it's my cousin. I mean, Wahbeh Biali is my closest friend, 3 years old, young, but at any rate, they suddenly decided to call themselves another Italian name. They're not Biali, they're Bailey.
Irish.
People ask me, where you get this name from?
Jim, is that an Irish name?
And the Munson.
What?
And the Munson.
No, I get to the Munson.
Who?
The Mansib is another marriage. It's 4th component. However, by the way, don't take this as if we're divided. We're very close. We're very, very. It didn't really matter.
We're all
If she's Italian or not.
That was the Italian Irish. Or Irish Italian, right?
I refuse to change my name from Mahmoud, which is easy. I could have called it
Michael.
Anything you can.
Can I
but,
say something?
Yeah.
But even though it was you named Brian and Kevin when we came to America. You named this young man right there, by the way.
I did.
You named Brian and Kevin.
So you gotta apologize now.
Yeah, you changed your name. You told me this is Brian and this is Kevin and that's
I have to say that actually there is a reason for that. The reason was that my brother was applying for colleges, and he wrote his name Muhammad. Purdue University wrote saying, "We have enough people from your country." Actually, he wrote the letter from Stamford, Connecticut. We're living in Stamford, Connecticut. From Stamford, Connecticut. Just from the name alone, they took a biased view. So I said, okay, give them the name they want. It could be Irish, it could be English, it could be Italian, it could be French, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I changed my view, but not for me, too late. And I'm not sure I'll do it. At any rate, Bailey is a great family. Diasti, 2 boys. They were both the star of the most elite school in probably the Northeast, Brunswick. Elite in education and in
You're talking about the Munson.
The Munson.
the Munson.
You said Diasti.
Yes, you said the Astis.
Well,
We'll take it. We'll take it anyway. We'll take it anyway.
Tomato.
You're coming, fighter.
It's like the wife. The
And
wife
he will
is
win. He's a wrestler.
I know.
He's
Hey,
a
you wanna take it outside?
He's a wrestler. So they've done. Academically, they were in the top. sport-wise, they were in the top.
Socially.
Socially, I'm not going to give it to him. I'm not going to give it for his other.
They got their mom's
I'm
gene.
going to give it to mom.
Mom's gene.
They took it.
Answer the
they
mom.
took it
Yeah.
to mom. And she, like I said, really, she was our contact with the world. I was working in New York City, come to Greenwich. She's the one who created Greenwich for us in many ways.
Even now where she is, she's a social butterfly. Just looking at
Where she is today.
Yeah.
She
can't help it,
amazing.
that's her.
She is amazing.
Where she is
Hi, hello, smiling to everybody is just amazing.
She is
She's
amazing.
natural.
She is amazing. So, all of this is to say that we're going to have to meet again, I hope, before Cece gets me. And I know a lot of you are going to grow, and I hope the two things that I said to all of you is set your eyes think big, don't think small, and don't let anybody take you down. Only men or women, for both. And a cause could be small or large because you could make the small cause large. Stay with it, and change it too. Of course, if you feel like you need to change it. So don't be inflexible. This life, particularly your life, guys, is not. In my days, I become an academic, end up being a dean of a school, career is clear up. 1, 2, 3 steps, nothing there. In your life, that's not the way it is now. The economy is structured differently, and it's not as clear cut. You're going to create your own, and you're going to create it by being yourself and believing in yourself. If you do not believe in yourself, nobody else will believe in you. So the first step is you believe in yourself, you take it from there, force everybody else to believe in you. I think I talk too much. I am in awe. How did this happen? That we have this wonderful, wonderful group of people who are all together, very good hearts, great brains, and nice people. So far, I haven't met any obnoxious anybody. Very nice people. Doesn't mean, by the way, that you always have to be nice, because there are people who are obnoxious and you gotta stand up. You can't just let anybody walk on you. So, but the bottom line is, we're a family, can't be obnoxious with a family. And you gotta let things go from the side. We have people here who, I bet, among them that they work, I'm not asking that you work together. I really never had a partner, except in one case. I had a German partner. I've created a company in Egypt that's almost $750 million worth. $750 million worth in 4 years.
In the 80s.
In 4 years.
In
the 90s.
Wow.
And as soon as it became successful, the son of the president wanted to be a partner. Keep this in mind. Meaning, he's not going to pay anything. He's just going to be partner. He's the son of the president. Number two, he's going to be my boss. His father is the president. I never had a boss in my life. So I said no. And that is where what I call failed, because then they tried every trick in the way to get me, really basically get me out of the country. Not necessarily, but in the process they took our assets. Our assets, by the way, family, all of us. But they still didn't beat us, and I may still have a chance to beat them. So we're not all done. I hope to see you next year, all in good health, smarter, more educated, more determined, and smile. Smile makes a big difference. Always smile. And I thank you all, and if you have any question, I'll answer. I know I talked
Wait,
more
one
than
thing.
this.
Last night we were talking about this project that everyone has wanted to do, and you said you would do the presentation on it. Would you be willing to maybe just let people know that we're interested in making it happen?
What
The recording of the
Oh,
film.
yeah, okay. We, where did she go?
Natalie?
Yeah,
Where's Natalie?
Nelly asked about 5 years ago. Natalie. She got bored. Natalie asked that we should write the story of the family. I wrote back saying to her, there's nothing unusual about the family.
You just spoke for an hour.
That's the first time I heard that.
I didn't suffer. I mean, he had to come every summer from Egypt to work as a cab drivers or hot dog pusher or whatever it is, and goes back and study medical school because their mother said medical school is where you're going to go. And finished medical school, then came and took the license, and this is what you see. Much harder life than mine. I didn't struggle that way. I can't claim that I struggled that way. So when she asked that I should say something about the family, I said I don't say anything unusual, but now I do. Now I do, and I see a story in everybody here that actually can be told. So we are going to put together a book, a video, a documentary, whatever it takes.
We have someone here that makes documentaries.
The last two
Oh,
words.
okay.
The last two words. A dynasty is what we want, and one.
Good night. Good night.
And one more thing. One president in this country in your lifetime from you.
All right, guys, you got some work to do.
If Trump can do it, well.
We got this. We got this.
Yeah. And I also have to say that don't think it's very unusual. I mean, think of what Bill Clinton was. He was an orphan.
No family.
Think of George Ford. He had no family also, and made it. So it's not. It's a determination and intellect, and obviously being in the right time and the right place. And don't call yourself Mahmoud because you'll lose.
Maybe the first lady president. Come on, woman in power.
Also, a billionaire would be good to have in the family. Could be money.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be power.
Exactly. We want nice places to go visit.
We love your house, Azza, but we want to go on a yacht next time.
A billionaire.
Come on, kids. Crypto, internet.
Yep.
Being a billionaire is a hell of a lot better than being a millionaire, I could tell you that. So if you could do it, that's wonderful.
I just want to say one thing. I talked to Uncle Mahmoud yesterday, and it's wonderful to gather like once a year or every other year, stuff like that. So I propose that this 4th of July, so it's not going to be Monday, so it's a long weekend, we'll all go back and have a family reunion in Greenwich, Connecticut, this 4th of July. So with your permission, we're not going to all crash in your house. Don't worry, you're not to cook. But I'm just suggesting that we all meet on 4th of July. The 4th of July is Monday. So we can start basically the celebration from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And we'll just basically, we'll go back on the boat and go to the I remember the island and whatever, and just do the old.
We're doing an island party.
We'll do the island party, and it was
nice.
So if you agree, raise your hand. If you don't agree, don't raise your hand.
I have to make a decision right now.
Who's staying in our house?
We're saying like, all right, we're saying back to the house. He's gonna transfer it.
Let me tell you about the island party.
Yes.
I'm not allowed in it
How come?
because it's too it's too youngish.
We'll make an exception.
That's it.
Things they do in it is lots
Yeah.
of fun.
Yes.
Not for older people, but for you guys. It's a historic thing in the island party.
Barbecue there.
Yeah, but yes. But again, we will assign or designate a couple of people, few people to really lead this and make the arrangement when we all make a very.
I also want to say one more thing. This is the man that started No Child Left Behind. He brought everyone with him from Egypt. He did not leave anyone, regardless who it is. He made sure that everybody get a chance to come here. And it's the length he went to make sure that everybody has, you've seen it before, we all saw it. Obviously, I was younger, but the sisters, but you insisted that everybody get that opportunity.
Yeah, but I didn't create it. You could have been an idiot. So it turned out that you're very smart and you made it in your own. I think what I did basically is that I brought you to Greenwich, Connecticut.
Yep, you opened our eyes beyond belief.
Tell us to think big. Look up.
Well, you think high, think big. That's the place where it's a so-called center of, capital of the world of hedge funds, who goes up and down. But the bottom line is, it's an old wealth, it's a top living, and you guys saw it. You saw that you could. That's the level where you have to be. You didn't go to Jersey City, and you're smart enough to make it. I'm not responsible for your. You're smart on your own.
But it's like we landed in Greenwich, Connecticut, and we thought that was America.
That's normal America.
On the water.
You guys don't understand
Yes.
that situation at the time. This was like the top of the top. You're landing.
Still is.
And it
Still is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But you're coming thinking you don't know any better.
Yeah.
And your mind is formed, this is the way it's going to be. Then you refuse to go anywhere else, refuse anything else.
That's your standard.
And you start
Yes.
talking to normal people. You start talking to normal people, and you realize everybody's trying to tell you, Tim, your vision, it's like, you're crazy. What are you talking about?
It is the same story like when we came for the العالمية.
Right.
All right. And we thought we were like middle
Right.
class. And you are trying to find out that it's better.
But your brain is already, your mindset is already formed.
Your mindset is on.
So you really
but you're
shaped
smart enough
to see it.
to recognize it.
But you shaped our mindsets
Yeah.
with everything you've done, watching you, observing you from far. It's like not necessarily you don't have to live with you to do it, but we're like really almost like we're watching a movie that is family related in front of our eyes and learning as we
But by
go.
the same token, if any of you lives in New York City or lives close, most of the guys who sell hot dogs on the corners of New York City are Egyptians like them. They couldn't get the license. They couldn't get their eyes higher than what they are.
They get stuck.
They get stuck, and they're not dumb, but they're just not capable of really adapting or following the norms that's needed to get there. So, I think you maybe 5% of all of the population that comes as well prepared, physicians and everything else, but not capable of coming up. So my luck is I have smart nephews and nieces, right?
Thank you.
And I'm delighted with this. I'm happy that I'm sorry that I talked a little too long, but maybe I hope it's worth it.
That was great. Thank you very much.
You.
dinner first?
Give me your
I know, I like that.
Come to eat dinner.
I don't care if you're eating or not. Thank you. Thank you. I wanted everybody to hear. I wanted.
Keep it up.
I don't know, thank you.
I'm getting it.